the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, who is worth 4 billion shillings. Aden Duale, who was actually vetted for the Ministry of Defense, worth 851 million shillings. Justin Muturi says he's worth 700 million shillings. And Alfred Mutua here, Foreign and Diaspora Relations Cabinet Secretary nominee, worth 420 million shillings. Alice Wahome, Sanitation, Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, says she is worth 218 million shillings. Well, that story is continued again on page 4 of the Standard. Shocking opulence in the Hustler Cabinet nominees revealed as vetting stats, and that the National Assembly yesterday starting vetting the nominees, where it emerged that the Hustler millionaires have wealth ranging between 218 million and 4 billion shillings. NC, like I mentioned, Mudavadi says it's 4 billion shillings, and he says his income, comes from dividends. He has shareholding and also interests, of course, in other, areas like farming. So there, Musalia Mudavadi trying to explain how he's gained his wealth. And then we also have the, Azimio faction, Pio Wandai, who actually questioned. You remember yesterday, Victor, we were saying that some of the Azimio members were a bit, averse to the to the position of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, saying that it is not constitutional. And so here again, Minority Leader Pio Wandai questioning the constitutionality of the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Now, moving on to page 6 of the Standard, Haji asks for more time to review the 7.5 billion shillings DP Gachagua case. So that maybe in essence might mean that the case might take a little bit a while before it is actually done with. So Haji, they're asking for more time to review the DP Gachagua's 7.5 billion case. Now let's look at the Star again. The Star here is Hustler CS worth 6 billion shillings. That is on the front page of the Star, and also the SIM card issue being highlighted here in the Star. 25 million Kenyans deregistered yesterday. So all that's in the Star and in the Standard newspaper. So it's bye from me until next week.
All right. So, Marie, before we take a break, let me just very quickly go to the front page of the Daily Nation. Filthy rich hustlers. Take a look at that. What's on the front page? Filthy rich hustlers. We have got Musalia Mudavadi there. And now, let me give you a figure. Perhaps my cameraman could just zoom in there to that page. It says that filthy rich hustlers, the first batch of 5 of the President William Ruto's cabinet secretary nominees have a combined net worth of over 6 billion shillings, a significant amount of wealth for the people that will man a government the head of state had in the campaign said that would be pro-poor. But even as they declared the sources of their opulence, they maintained and mounted a spirited fight to be clear. Their names as their past records in the public service came back to haunt them. And down there you can see the figures. We have got Aden Duale saying that, cameraman, please just bring it back, kindly. We have got Aden Duale saying that he's worth 851 million shillings. We have got Justin Muturi, 700 million shillings. Alfred Mutua, 420 million shillings. And Alice Wahome, 281 million shillings. That is what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. Now, there's another question here. Is Gachagwa's 7 billion shilling graft case on verge of collapse? In a worrying trend in which criminal charges facing President Ruto's allies are being dropped by the DPP, the hearing of the 7.3 billion shillings graft case against the DP aborted yesterday after prosecutors sought more time to review the case file. The charges and the evidence. That is also on the front page of the Daily Nation. Of course, this is something that we'll be looking at. And so far, on to the second page, very quickly, we have got a politician suspected of murder to remain in custody for 1 more week. Police believe that Miss Chania was involved in the killing of her husband, whose body was found on Wednesday last week. And of course, the sleuths are still going on with the investigations to unravel the root cause of this. Now, finally, DP offers woman that coined his moniker Rigji a job. They finally met yesterday. All right? They finally met yesterday, and it's quite interesting. And the DP said that it's quite creative for the lady to come up with a name, and so far, the Deputy President is enjoying that name, Rigji. All right. And finally, DPP under scrutiny as Gachagua graft case.
Tell me why. Why did you hide this from me?
No, Gonzalo, please listen to me.
I want an answer.
Please don't get mad at me.
I want an answer now.
How dare you say that? I won't leave without you, understand? Understand that you will obey me. Let go of her. Let go of her. You'll stay out of this. I will leave its gone. Karma. You just get what you give. Karma.
Yes.
I love women like you who have attitude. Tobias Lopez stated that Hector was a part of a gang. I want you to talk to him so he can give you the names of all the gang members.
I don't believe this. He's supposed to go for his throat, not the arm.
Damn it! Bobby's teeth got stuck.
Get him off me! Ah! Ah! Ah!
Aimed in for Kwanzaa! With touch, with finesse, and steered beyond Romero. And Germany are the champions of the world.
It has been a magnificent World Cup, won by a worthy goal in the marvellous city of Rio. Thank you, Brazil. Danke.
At KBC Channel 1, we put people at the heart of events with our captivating weekly news features. Every day, we are breaking new grounds with informative, entertaining, and inspiring human interest stories. On Mondays, 9 p.m., we have The Cabinets. Tuesday, 9 p.m., we get inside the barracks for military tales. We delve in the world of cinemas and theater each Wednesday night. For the young and industrious, make a date with us every Thursday at 9 p.m. Fridays are dedicated for my culture. On Saturdays, we go back in time for history in perspective. And on Sundays, we get to know the process of how things are done and made. KBC Channel 1 News features a whole lot of wonderful viewing experience.
CSs still continue today, starting 9 a.m. at the County Hall. And with me in studio, I have got Tim Kipchumba, who is an economic and public policy analyst, with me in studio to help me unravel and discuss this. Tim, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Victor.
I'm so sure you went through, if not all, but through the vetting process that took place yesterday, and of course you should be expecting more today. As an economist, and you have all these mouth-watering figures. Let me start with Musalia Mudavadi. Net worth, 4 billion shillings. Duale, 851 million shillings. Justin Muturi, 700 million shillings. We have got Alfred Mutua saying that is worth 420 million shillings. And finally, Alice Wahome, 298 million shillings. On the front page of the Standard, millionaires hustlers. On the front page of the Daily Nation, filthy rich hustlers. On the front page of the People Daily, hustler CS worth 6 billion shillings. All of them speaking almost the same thing. What do you make of this? What is your headline?
I mean, to be fair to them, all of them are about 50 years. So
yes.
I expect that people in honest endeavors may have potentially made money. But the reality also is that I think it takes money to take power in this country. It takes money to be in position of power. But also, I think to be better to the president, there will be a few more CSs that are worth far much less, probably 30, 40 million shillings, But it's true. I mean, I think yesterday what we saw is just the initial stage of the number of cabinet secretaries that are likely to be richer. Musalia Mudavadi is 62 years old. He's been a minister since what?
In his early
32.
Yes.
32 years.
Exactly right.
And you know very well in this part of the world, owners of capital are most of the time owners of power.
Okay, and somebody would argue as quote unquote hustler, because on all the front pages there's a word hustler, hustler, hustler. And now people would easily relate with their campaign strategy and the clarion call on who the government is going to belong to.
Yes.
This government is going to be the hustlers' government. And now from this particular point there is a complete departure.
I mean, actually not true. I don't think hustler is necessarily very poor. I think hustler is the spirit of grit. It's possible for you, Victor, for me, Tim Kipchumba, to be something if you began from nowhere. The only person who was potentially born in a bit of wealth is Musalia Mudavadi. So if he's worth 4 billion, his father was a minister, you could almost say he's not the true hustler. But everyone else there has had to work their way up.
Yes.
Alice Wahome, lawyer, tough politician, Justin Muturi, 66 years old, the oldest of them all. So I think the spirit of hustler is that everyone can be something. I think that's the whole point, Victor, is that you don't need to be born to wealth and riches for you to amount to something.
Yes.
And I think that's a really good spirit. It's a spirit of can do. It's a spirit that you can be something. I mean, Alfred Mutua, 52 years, already governor, author, now a cabinet secretary. People might say he's a latecomer, he might be one of the luckiest guys, but then, it just tells you he's not a son to anyone. So I think that's actually a good thing, that out of the 4 nominees, there's only one person that you could say he was born in wealth, as it were, which is the former, Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, Musalia Mudavadi. Yeah.
Let me get your point. What do you make of the framing of the questions yesterday, if you perhaps listened to what was happening at the County Hall?
Clearly, I expect the nominees to pass, to be honest, yeah? But of course the questions were related to net worth, wealth, how you acquire the wealth, if they have experience. And a great portion of the questions, honestly, is really is to have conversations about the people that the president has already decided is going to bring them on board. The president already has, majority in both houses. So most likely, the vetting committee will approve any nominee that it comes. But I think having open conversations as a country about who those people are, what they bring forth for the country, questioning their sources of wealth, speaking to integrity and honest patriotism. I think it's a good conversation. I mean, as to whether there might be any significant change, I very much doubt it. Because by the time you get, honestly, by the time the nominees are sent to the president, they've already been cleared. And
there's some sense of trust from the high office.
Yeah, not just that, it's that they've already been cleared. I mean, already the president has a brief on all the nominees a month ago. Already. I mean, whether it's NSIS, whether it's Kenya Revenue Authority, whether it's EAC, what we're really doing now is, get people to know and get Parliament involved. And if Parliament finds reasons that show that, there might be evidence that might not have been available to the president, or then it can come to fore. But I don't expect that there will be significant change. I mean, already those nominees will most likely pass. But I think the question...
In other words, you're trying to say that this is just but an exercise.
Because I think a great portion of the work has already been done.
Public relations.
Not just public relations. I think it's part of consultation. The president is a politician. Okay, the president is a politician. And in ancient Greek, the word politeia is the affairs of the state. So, and you will notice that almost all his cabinet secretaries were politicians.
Yeah.
Because his background is politics, and he says the people that truly understand the aspirations of the country are the people that are speaking to those people. Because sometimes you find professionals, and sometimes professionals may have a certain narrow mindset that might not necessarily speak to the aspirations of the people. But then, so yeah, I think, to your question, the questions were around integrity, the questions were speaking to the capacity of the questions were relating to the constitutionality of some of the offices. The office of Prime Secretary and Prime Minister.
Yes.
As to the constitutionality of that office, I think the questions were they were reasonably good. I think they were actually tough in some cases. You saw Mutua. You might have seen Ali's question about her temperament. So I think questions around temperament, questions around their integrity, questions around their patriotism, questions around. I think it's a good thing, and because the last thing also you want is you generally want the country to accept the people that will be of service to them.
Exactly.
So even if the president has decided and there might be no case against each of them, you still need this process to go through. You still need Parliament to check on the executive and to check on the decision of the executive. And I think it's a good thing. On the last Parliament, one of the biggest letdown to the country was Parliament. Parliament did not play its rightful role as a check on the executive. And I'm hoping that
perhaps that is why the president is now saying that he'll bring some kind of legislative changes to allow the cabinet secretaries now to appear on the floor of the House to answer questions from parliamentarians. I don't know how this would play out, because in the last Parliament, cabinet secretaries never used to appear in Parliament to answer questions.
Good question. I think, to be fair, I think it can go either way, depending on how you look at it. So having cabinet secretary in Parliament may actually undermine the independence of the executive and Parliament. Okay? Because our system separates executive and Parliament. But then having them in Parliament allows the people of this country who have elected, members of Parliament and senators, for that matter, to do one thing, which is to at least check, because in the last cabinet we had cabinet ministers belittle legislators, belittle, senators, and just more generally act as if, Uta do. What are you going to do? And I think that mix is a good thing. I think getting cabinet secretaries to take responsibility is a good thing. That's the reason it's actually having politicians to appear in front of other politicians, because then, they are saying, we went to the people of this country with ASLA fund. We went to the people of this country with the idea that we want to improve the well-being of the young people of this country. What are you doing about it? So getting cabinet secretaries to take political responsibility, I think is a very good thing, at least for the president, and for accountability for those cabinet secretaries. Because what we saw in the last cabinet is that we just saw runaway cabinet secretaries who were not responsible to members of parliament, who couldn't care less what you thought, who just adopted the idea that, no, you know what, I don't care what you do. And I think it's a good thing. So you can easily say it might interfere with the independence of the Republic of, it might interfere with, the independence between executive and parliament, but also it might bring a bit more accountability, especially at the time when the president needs as many of his cabinet secretaries to take political responsibility for the political promises that they have made. I expect, for instance, that Honorable Chelugui will have to answer to, say, the ASLA fund. I expect that Honorable Mutua will have to take political responsibility around what are we doing on the welfare of people out of this country. Yes. So I think it's a good thing. It might actually be a good thing for the country.
The case of separation of power comes into play because now you have politicians who've been friends. They campaigned under the Kenya Kwanzaa umbrella. They are friends, and you'd want. The president has a mandate to deliver to Kenyans under his promise, the agenda, the manifesto of Kenya Kwanzaa. And the politicians that you're bringing on board who are going to carry the mantle of Kenya Kwanzaa are your friends. How are they going to bring that level of professionalism and friendship that will not interfere with the delivery of service to Kenyans?
So, to be honest, the greatest endeavors are done among friends.
All right, and sometimes it can even go other way.
That's true. Yes. But the cabinet secretary's job is a political job. It's the face of the ministry, guides policy in the direction that the president cares for.
Yes.
In this particular case, the president anchored his idea on, premised on all economics, all politics going down to the people that are downtrodden, that are hustlers. And premised everything around that. So agriculture, ASLA fund, everything is done on the basis that if we actually put money at the people at the bottom of the pyramid, there can be more opportunity for everyone. For that, you need politicians. You need people that can wade through parliament. You need people that can articulate that policy. You need people that can say, no. But you can't just measure GDP. You have to also measure the number of people that are getting gainfully employed. And so the fact that they are friends, they still have to take responsibility. There is something that I expect will change. I expected that the permanent secretaries, a number of them will be technocrats, will be technical in their fields, and the president will be demanding that they, even if they are politicians, they have to take technical responsibility for their ministries. So that gives informally. Formally, it's 6 million, but we know that the informal is around 9 million.
Yeah.
And that is growing year on year by 6 million. Okay, you need people that are meeting those young people and realizing, you know what, the median age of the country is 18 years. There are more young people unemployed, and we need to have conversations. And I like that the cabinet secretaries in questions, particularly Honorable Musalia Mudavadi as well as Alfred Mutua, are beginning to realize that, you know what, we need other solutions to the unemployment crisis in the country. So we need to start looking at co-creation of wealth at the bottom of the pyramid using the ASLA fund, but we also need to look at the possibility of exporting talent out of the country, because right now, as we speak, the leading forex earner for the country is our young people abroad. Our young people abroad are sending us 450 billion Kenya shillings, so thereabout, $4 billion. But can you imagine Nigeria, their foreign remittance is 2 times our Kenyan budget. Okay, $50 billion. Philippines is $32 billion. So it's like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 billion Kenyan shillings. So it's like several times, 1.5 times our Kenyan budget. So we need to really look, and so it's a good thing to have someone like, say, Musalia, who gets it. He says, you know what, our potential as a country in terms of foreign remittance is supposed to be 10 times more.
Okay. Okay, even as you correct on that one, as you comment on that one, what is the gap between, there's a gap and a missing link between, as a policy expert, there is a missing link or a gap between policy and action. And now this is where probably the president must be so keen on, because you'll have all the policies on paper, well laid out in your manifesto, in your agenda for the nation, but the real action to actualize this thing is where the problem is. And the president, in his, in his clarion call, is it has to be done either way. Kenya is at a very bad spot, and each and every person working more so to the cabinet that is going to pick must work to actualize the policy of Kenya Kwanzaa. How do you think this 22-member team is going to turn around the policy of Kenya Kwanzaa to the realization of the president's dream?
I think that's where the president might be right. By picking politicians that campaigned with him, that made hustlers around the country, that made promises with him, he's not picking people that don't understand the aspirations and the hopes of Kenyans. That is a very good thing already on its own, because if you pick people that are professional, sometimes they don't carry the pain and the burden of the people of this country. You do need people that are meeting mothers that are crying, that are meeting young people that are not going to school. I mean, every politician in this country. I'm now vying for Senate. I receive 100 applications every single day for young people that are looking for opportunities. Absolutely crazy. Okay? The phone can't stop ringing for young people. I mean, I went to Embobut the other day and I met this first-class student. He's finished actuarial science and he's waiting for a job. I met this young man, he cried on my shoulder and said, you know what, my sister has been unemployed. He comes from Keyo South. My sister has been unemployed for 4 years, but he has a first-class honors in biochemistry. Like, the cry for the people of this country is the cry that requires people that are meeting those people. Like, it's so easy to be in Nairobi and then you understand things without the touch that is required. Politicians, ironically, understand it. They understand that their phone constantly rings because someone has just had to be buried. Someone had to go to hospital and they must do something. And I mean, I come from a professional background, but I get it now. I get it. I've done 50, 60 meetings in the last 1 month preparing for my Senate candidature. And I see what I can't potentially have seen in the last 5 years.
Right.
What do I see? I see pain. I see mothers that are trying, they cry for parents for their kids to go to school. And even when they go to school, they finish school and they now become a burden because they are not going to. And I think that's where the gap is to bridge the aspirations of Kenyans, okay, the aspirations of Kenyans and policy.
That's
so
exactly what I'm talking about.
And
the action itself and policy actualization.
And I think there's a lot of hope. I mean, by having politicians that understand their aspirations and at least the message that they sold to Kenyans, and then technical permanent secretaries, and then having someone like, say, Musalia Mudavadi coordinating, because we'd never had a coordinating function. As a matter of fact, that function is a delegated function from the presidency. Because the president is supposed to actually, in article, whether it's article 156, 132, 146 of the Constitution, one of the functions for the presidency, apart from chairing the cabinet, and is actually coordinating function. What the president is really saying is that I need Honorable Musalia Mudavadi to help me with that act of coordination.
Exactly.
And so there is actually no duplication of roles, because what happens is that the Honorable Rigathi will be president, second in president. It's actually part of the presidency. What the president is now doing is saying, I need a minister akin to a team leader that can help me coordinate, because you need to harmonize it. Eventually, the government has to speak to the aspirations of hustlers, but for that, you need harmonization. You need ministries speaking to each other. Let me give you an example.
Go ahead.
1 million young people, we have about 6-7 million opportunities in first world countries. Canada has 1 million job opportunities today as we speak. Okay. Last year, Honorable Jelugui and a team already set up an agreement to send 20,000 young people to Canada. But it's so difficult to send those young people to Canada today. Why? Because you need a legislative framework across five ministries.
Yeah.
You must have foreign affairs, diaspora, Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Labor, because it's a labor component, and we're having a discussion around that, and Ministry of Internal Security. Why? Because you have an immigration question. If you're going to send 1 million young people out of the country, you must do what? You must process 3,300 passports per day. You cannot have them queuing at Nyayo House. You need a legislative framework. You need a way to coordinate government ministries in a way that actually makes sense for you to achieve the aspiration. Otherwise, we now have shortage of labor. Can you imagine? We have a labor shortage in Canada of 1 million. Last year, they employed 400,000 people, immigrants. 200,000 of those, wow, they were Indians. Nigerians took a number of people. If you compare us with Nigeria, with all due respect to Indians and Nigerians, we are better people as a country. We speak better English. We are likely to be more adaptable. We have, our education is still fantastic. We might be considered, our demeanor might be considered closer to Canadians, for instance. But we need a way to coordinate government functions so we can send as many young people out of the continent, but also so we can do other things, so we can get Asla Fund working.
Okay.
So
there is this aspect of service delivery, and this is even in the county, that is the commandate of every administration to deliver services to Mwananchi. Right now we have devolved units, from the county assemblies up to the national government.
Yes.
But there is that aspect of status quo. Somebody will say, we are coming into government, but we are going to follow how government operates, all right? But then now here comes a situation where the president will have to do some things differently, not some things, but do things differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, to deliver to Kenyans. How will this cabinet run away from the issue of status quo and make sure that that word service delivery is positive?
Absolutely. I think we are lucky. We are lucky in the sense that the president is answer. I mean, the president keeps time, the president reads the minutes, the cabinet meetings will be chaired. I don't think we'll have a situation like we happened where we had, one of the singular role of a president is to chair cabinet.
Yeah.
The fact that we had, say, Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta not chair cabinet for 2 years is unheard of. But so at least that's one thing that has already happened, that the president, the choice of the president already is a good thing for the country. But the other thing is embedding technology. Okay? If you look at, say, Asla Fund, I saw the Star make criticism saying that the president made an about turn. That's absolutely not true. I tell you why. Private sector, loans to private sector is only 10%. We need more loans to private sector. Like 50 billion shillings is nothing. I mean, I'm telling now young people in Elgeyo Marakwet and women and men to get together and form circles and form groups. They're going to get a share of the fund. But 50 billion is just a tiny speck of what the country needs. Like we have not even gotten to the days of corporate. So pre-corporate days, the loans to private sector was around 20%. Like we are halfway there. 10% of our loans has gone to private sector. We need more money to private sector. But not just that, is that even if ASLA fund charges 12%, they're not charging 12%, they're only charging 10%, it would still be the lowest cost of money to the country. Why? Because government is borrowing at 12%. So if they actually give it to us, forget even at 10%, at 12%, it will be a fantastic thing, because the problem is not the cost of money in this country, it's availability. We don't have money. Like you, Victor, today, if you needed money and you qualify, you may never get it. So the problem, that's the reason our young people in this country are paying double. Like if you bought a border today, if you're paying, say, 130,000 shillings, your cost of money might end up becoming 100%. I'm sure 300%. Okay. Yeah? So the problem is not even the cost of money, it's the availability of money that we need to worry about. But to answer your question, I think that having an hands-on president, embedding technology. So what I was going to tell you is that there are 22,000 cooperatives in the country. Okay?
Yes.
There are 14 million members for the SACCO. Okay? The SACCO movement in Africa is ranked number 1, our SACCO movement. We have, contribution of SACCOs to national savings around 35%. We need to embed technology in the way the ASLA fund is dispersed, because the only way you get service is you need money to reach, let's say, 14 million people. The only way the money can reach 14 million people is the same way M-Shwari today can easily disperse money. You need technology. We need to embed technology so that government gets us a 50 billion shillings, and then it's automatically dispersed to members who are already part of these 22,000 cooperatives. Otherwise, it would be impossible to even monitor. So I think anchoring a great portion of our service delivery on technology is a fantastic thing, because then it allows us to reach as many people as possible. So I think that the president getting technical permanent secretaries, getting technology working, getting being hands-on himself, getting technology working, getting politicians that are at least care for the aspirations of this country is already a great thing to achieve service delivery.
Service delivery. So, and how are they going to run away from the status quo? I mean, it's government, so we can do how we want it, but how are they going to change so that they can adopt to the new system of governance quickly before you take a break?
I think, embedding technology, I think getting the president to, having a president that is actually firm and decisive and demanding that, say, ambassadors, let's say the ambassador that goes to Canada must get us a share, 10% share of the job opportunities that Canada needs. So that's 440,000 jobs.
Yeah.
So like just demanding, I think that having a president that is just demanding that people do what they should do is already a great start, because that cascades. Because the everything cascades.
Yeah.
People take generally the tone of the leader, and I think having a decisive leader, having someone that is acting is a great start.
Tim, let's take a break. When we come back, I still want us to talk about the issue of SDGs and how it's going to be capsuled in the Kenya Kwanzaa government, and how this administration is going to ensure that SDGs are achieved. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with Tim Kipchumba.
The day you first saved me, I've always loved you. Child. You just hang in there. Let's make do with this girl's body for now. And in due time, Mummy will find you a suitable body.
Callie, what are you saying? What are you planning?
Are you looking for the bell?
Have you seen it?
It's somewhere safe.
Hoped you could forget what happened 300 years ago. And yet, now you're engaged to someone else. I'm feeling even more worried somehow.
My lady, I was also surprised when I first met Betsy the other day. It's uncanny.
The legends and familiar charms will grace KBC once again.
Songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu.
What did you just say?
Sio tamthilia tu.
And why you're saying that
Ni tamthilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi. What?
Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Enda kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewe.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
Welcome back, and our discussion is still here with Tim Kipchumba, who is economic and public policy expert. Let's talk about, we're still trying to understand how this new government is going to shape up, because everything is still upside down, so to speak. The president is still operating on a caretaker cabinet to run the affairs of the country. So let's talk about the issues of SDGs. We know what SDGs are, healthcare, and what have you. But what do you think the current administration will do to achieve the SDGs? Because time is running out.
That's true.
And we have to achieve them.
I think they're already making significant progress. So, agriculture focus is already sorting SDG 1 and 2. So no anger, rather zero anger, no poverty.
Yes.
Because if you can, a bulk work of our people, 60% of our people rely predominantly on agriculture.
Yes.
We have good arable land. We need to give farmers all the support they need. So the subsidy is already a good start for SDG 1 and 2. SDG 8 is decent work. Okay, decent work. And ASLAFAN is supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So getting finance and getting as many limitations as possible out of the way for people that are entrepreneurs or small business owners or Jua Kali sector or Boda Boda or Mama Mboga will solve not just SDG 1 and 2, but also give people decent income and economic growth. The president is already pledging 100% renewable energy target, which we are very close there as a country. Actually, without doing anything, we're already number one globally, nearly number one globally in terms of renewable energy. Because our energy mix right now is predominantly hydro, geothermal, solar, wind.
And wind, yes.
Yeah,
right.
so we're already around close to 90%. So I think there are efforts to make sure that, we can. I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done around education. But I think there are already fundamental decisions being made around, at least by the presidency, around targeting the bottom of the pyramid. Because if you do that, if you can get more people just earning a decent income, you almost solve almost all the SDGs. Whether it's water and sanitation, the affordable housing agenda, the president has already committed that he will follow through Big Four agenda. That already sorts manufacturing, that sorts housing, that sorts affordable housing, manufacturing, healthcare, So that's already a good thing. So I think certainly there's still a lot more work to be done.
But the biggest elephant in the room is food security. And when you talk about SDG, food security is there, and it lies quite open that it has to be achieved nonetheless. And you look at the situation where we are right now. Some would argue that Kenyans, we depend on rain-fed agriculture, and the president is trying to run away from that kind of mentality, that it doesn't have to be rain-fed, because as we are, the country is seriously affected by drought. Based on what we've seen even on the front page of the Star newspaper, people are suffering from Kwale to even part of Kajiado County, just across borders here. You would imagine that the issue of food security is going to take center stage. But with the new administration coming in, what do you think are some of the quick, immediate remedies that the new administration and the cabinet should make sure that they tackle to achieve that food security as fast as possible?
Good question. I think it's a really complex question, but I think what the president has already done around fertilizer subsidy is a good start. Okay, I think we need to look into mechanization and large-scale agriculture, because Africa globally, Africa uses 15 times less mechanization in agriculture as compared to countries like America. So we do need to mechanize agriculture, but the problem with that is that takes a little bit of time. It takes time to actually embed mechanization, and you have to get large land holdings. In the US, farmers are less than 5% of the population. Okay, and it's normally subsidized. It's a subsidized part of the economy. So I think using technology to make sure that farmers get information, farmers get support, all the extension support that they need. I think that will go a long way to make sure that we can be a food secure country. And potentially not just solve hunger, SDG 1 and 2, but also get people income that they actually, so we can also get people income. Because I think the cry of many people in this country, even for teachers, even for, ECD teachers, even for police people, is that our cost of living has gone so high, but the income is not matching. Imagine you're an ECD teacher in Elgeyo-Marakwet County. You earn 10,000 shillings. That's not enough to do anything meaningful. So I think that if we can mechanize agriculture, if we can use technology, if we can give farmers extension services, if we can follow through with the subsidy for agriculture, I think that can potentially help us get closer to becoming a food secure country. Because it's true what you say. We are a net importer of wheat. We are a net importer of maize. And yet on the other side, we lose a lot of potatoes. Like nearly a significant chunk of our potatoes in this country is always lost. And so, supply chain linkages, figuring out how to get goods from farm to produce. Because at a time when Kenyans are having hunger, we have excess produce in parts of this country. So and part of that can be solved potentially with infrastructure. Part of that can be solved with market information, knowing that families in, say, Lodwar or families in Kwale need potatoes, and therefore we can get those potatoes out of, say, Elgeyo-Marakwet County to those places is very valuable. And I think the president in his speech has alluded to the need for us to use technology to make sure that we can ease out supply chain.
Absolutely. Do you think there's some things that the current administration can borrow from the past regime? Because there is that aspect of undo to do, policy that each and every president or administration will always do.
No, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, I think the Vision 2030 will always be one of our founding documents for how to run the country.
Yes, like a blueprint.
Yes, exactly. Big Four, the president has already committed to Big Four. To be honest, I think it's just the urgency of action. I think what the new president will be saying is that I will follow through as many, Vision 2030, but with a focus, and when you listen to him, with a focus on ASLAS. But he's not really changing the architecture, the policy architecture for the country. He will be reorienting it so that as many people as possible at the bottom of the pyramid can participate. Right now, Victor, young people are not participating in the wealth creation of this country, in the economic potential of the country. And the problem with that is that we are predominantly young people.
Yeah.
I mean, I am now 38, but I'm already older than many people in this country. And so getting more people participating, get more young people.
Why are you trying to put yourself so old? Okay, go ahead.
No, it's the truth. It's that we have a young population. I mean, the median age for the country is 18. So we need 18-year-olds participating. We need 25-year-olds participating. We need 30-year-olds participating. But right now, they're not participating. I mean, if you have unemployment, youth unemployment, I don't know, 40%, that's bad. It means that those young people, we are robbed of their potential. We are robbed of their contribution to the economy. And so I think the Asla spirit is not just like, Asla. It's how can we get more young people to meaningfully participate in achieving their potential and helping us achieve the potential for the country. I think that's the real spirit. So how can we get people without big last names, without many means, without a lot of education? How can we get them to participate in the co-creation of their aspirations, of their own aspirations?
And how is the cabinet, the new cabinet, going to hasten that? So
I think that I think that the position for the Prime Secretary is a good thing because of the coordination. Because sometimes you need to avoid duplication, but you also need to ease communication. I think that technical cabinet secretary, technical permanent secretaries will help. I think that political, well-seasoned politicians that can navigate parliament, that can articulate, that can bargain, that can make their case, that at least have a firm understanding what the president wanted, because the president has aspirations. And to be fair to him, we need to give him the cabinet that he wants. Otherwise, in 5 years from now, we will say we have rejected his cabinet, and he will have a valid reason to say, but I wanted these people because they understood the aspirations of the people, and you didn't give me those people, so what did you want me to do? So to be honest, we should give him the cabinet that he wants, because it allows us to say, you know what, Mr. President, you wanted a cabinet that can you can rally on your ASLA vision and mission. We gave you the cabinet. And then finally, I think we can't run away from technology. We need to use technology to assist and service delivery.
But so the spirit of undo to do. Do you think the president should undo certain things that were done in the past regime for him to do what is in the current regime?
Absolutely. I mean, the president has to undo our the prevalent what can you do mentality that happened. The contempt for court, the contempt for rule of law. The president, even in the way consultation. In the last 5 years, we saw much less consultation. It was very limited consultation. What the president is actually doing is having a lot of consultative meetings, because you can't run the country without having meetings, without having sessions, without listening to views, because that allows you, it enriches your ability to understand what you need, what I need.
But Tim, let me just ask this way. Let me be a devil's advocate.
Yeah, sure.
You'll have as many as cabinet meetings on end every day at 7.
Other radical ideas. I mean, radical ideas like this. Philippines today, their largest source of income is the young people that they send out of the country. My idea to the president, if he was listening today, is very simple. Create power.
Of course he's listening. He's watching.
Create power, which is presidential overseas workers employment response. Let's just send 1 million young people out of this country to take jobs in Canada, Finland. Let's create a legislative agenda to make sure that they are safe wherever they go. Let's use technology to match demand abroad for skills and supply in Kenya. Let's create a legislative agenda to do what? To make sure that we have collaborative engagements. That immediately can get us 1 million jobs.
But then, talent expatriation, and we need to create our own here.
No, we need to do both, because we have 9 million.
That will lead to a country having a brain drain.
No, absolutely not. That was true in 1990s.
No,
today,
even right now.
Today we happily need brain drain. We need brain drain right now.
Come on, team.
We need brain drain. Why? Because we have 9 million young people that need jobs. The economy cannot grow fast enough to absorb those 9. We need to do something urgently. Even as we grow the local economy, which will take a little bit of time, we need to also we need to get our young people, because right now, look at the numbers. The leading source of revenue in the country is our young people working abroad.
Exactly.
Because we're not a manufacturing country. We don't have a lot of minerals that we are doing anything. Our manufacturing contribution to the GDP is less than 10%. The only thing that is meaningfully changing our country is the capacity and the capabilities and the skills of our young people. We need to use that as a country. Philippines did that. They have a program and they call it modern day heroes. They say that their modern day heroes are the young people that leave their country to work abroad. And they send 35% of the revenue of the country to Philippines. How much? $30 billion. That's a very good thing. So I think we need to be radical in the way we look at how can we create opportunity. How can we create opportunity? How can we make it possible for you, Victor, if you wanted to be whatever you can be in this country, you can be? That's the real question.
As we come to a close, let me ask you, assume you're sitting in the cabinet or the technical committee or the president, the advisory committee of the president, or let's come down to County Hall. What would be your probably 1, 2, or 3 questions that you'd put across to those nominees or even to the president to put forward to jumpstart this country moving forward?
How are we getting young people engaged, meaningfully engaged in everything that we are doing? How can we make sure we can use existing legislation and new legislation to make sure that we can get young people business? How can we use the Procurement Act to make sure that young people can get a 30% share of any portion of capital expenditure or any expenditure? Because right now the law is there, but we need to follow through. We need to make sure that young people are supplying government, young people are servicing government, young people. So the real question I would ask is, how can we get young people meaningfully engaged in earning income and contributing to our country? And how can we get more people to have money in their pockets? Because that's the real question. What we just want is we want a better life. But the only way to get a better life is if we are meaningfully engaged and we have work.
The legends and familiar chants will grace KBC once again.
Tell me why. Why did you hide this from me?
No, Gonzalo, please listen to me.
I want an answer.
Please don't get mad at me.
I want an answer now.
How dare you say that? I won't leave without you, understand? Understand that you obey me. Let go of her. Let go of her. You'll stay out of this. I will leave it's gone. Karma. You just get what you give. Karma.
Yes.
I love women like you who have attitude.
Tobias Lopez stated that Hector was a part of a gang. I want you to talk to him so he can give you the names of all the gang members.
I don't believe this. He's supposed to go for his throat, not the arm.
Damn it. Bobby's teeth got stuck.
Get him off me!
Remember people like Issa, we remember people like Achieng Abura, we remember people like Big Kev and the things they did. And how can we even forget somebody like Papa Shirandula or Juang, all these people? Who do you remember?
All of them are soundtracks to anyone who's watched them or listened to their music. it always evokes an emotion in you.
How many people have how many people have got names after them?
Eric Onaina is a singer and a songwriter and a husband and a father and a lover of animals. I love all animals. Naishi natumaini najitolea daima Kenya, hakika ya bendera.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for keeping it Channel 1. Now, women play a critical role in the leadership and governance of the country, and no doubt in the past parliament we saw, or in the past election that is, we saw very many more women being elected into positions of leadership, including 7 women in the governorship, including Gladys Wanga of Homa Bay, Susan Kihika in Nakuru County, and even Fatuma Chani in Kwale County. That is to emphasize that women play a critical role in the leadership of the country. Over 30 women have also been elected as members of parliament, and that is going to be forming the basis of our discussion this morning in Women and Politics. And today we host Embu woman representative, that is Pamela N. She'll be actually telling us why she calls herself Pamela N. And she's here to talk to us more about women and politics. Now, we also remember that in the past parliament, the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice, that is David Maraga, did actually raise questions about the 2/3 gender rule. That is one of the issues that we'll be discussing with Pamela N. this morning. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, Pamela, I don't want to miss this, but you started off as a journalist. So I would want you to actually give us a background of how you transitioned from a journalist to a politician.
Actually, I never started as a journalist. I started as a secretary in Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, and I was working in a finance department, accounts department. Okay. I was the secretary to the accounts controller, and I now later moved to a radio production through the directive of the late President Daniel R. Moi, who initiated the KM station to be initiated in KBC. And so my background actually as a hustler is from a secretary to a radio journalist and then to a politician. So I started here in KBC from accounts department. Then when I was accorded to go to move to radio production, and then initiated the KM station, then that was under Central Station for quite some time. So from there, because I had not trained, I had already been trained as a secretary through the Government Secretary College. Then I moved to Kenya Institute of Mass Communication to pursue my certificate in mass communication, and later now pursued at diploma level. Then from there, I went to Moi University and pursued a degree in communications and PR. And now, from there, I moved from secretarial to radio, and now to politics, or to a politician.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's quite a journey. I'm just wondering, even as you're explaining your journey, from the secretary and now, even into radio production, I wonder how, especially the journalism part of it, the production part of it, how did that shape you, and until now, into leadership?
Well, from secretariat to radio production, it was quite a journey because I had not been trained as a journalist, but I thank the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, the radio team, and the management as a whole, because they give me an easy way to learn on the job training. Before now, I went for training. Then after the training, now I got the skills as a radio producer and as a presenter in Kiembu Central Station. Then, which now, after quite some time, Real Media Services now poached me to go and start the Wimwaro radio station that has been there for the last 14 years. And so from Kiembu Central Station, where I was the head of that station, then from another FM station where I was still the head of the station and still the breakfast presenter, it gave me an upper hand of leadership, because I was already at management level, whereby I was able now to generate ideas and content on behalf of the station, the stations that I did advocated for.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's quite important, especially becoming a politician, being able to generate content. And, you know, politicians is about talking to the people. And I guess radio actually gives you that opportunity to be able to, you know, converse with people and all that. Now, let's delve to the matter of the day, and that is women and leadership. In the past election, we've seen very many women being elected into position of power. You know, I think there was a time that people never really believed that women could actually run for governorship, especially, and actually win. You know, women were relegated to, you know, members of parliament and other positions. But 7 women, you know, being elected into the governorship position, is that like, are we seeing a new, you know, dispensation of women leadership in the country?
Actually, you are right. You are right to say that we are looking at it in that direction, whereby more women are coming up in terms of vying for various positions. But I also thank the government of Kenya, because what it did, it initiated through the constitution, because of the 2/3 gender rule. The government was able to advocate for the 2/3 gender rule by initiating the issue of having women positions in terms of the women representatives across the 47 counties in the country of Kenya. And so it gave now the woman an upper hand now to start thinking about leadership as a woman, because initially probably we looked at it whereby the men in the parliament were more than us in parliament. Why? Because the position the woman was, or the women were, is that they were vying in the same positions, in the same categories with men. And you know, men are very, very pushy when it comes to politics. They will marshal you left, right, and center. And so for a woman, the weaker vessel we are, we were not able to really make it. But now when the constitution was passed, whereby now the woman is able now to vie for a woman position in the 47 counties in Kenya, it gives us now a more bargaining power as women, because when it comes to the position of the woman representative, we are not expecting, and we don't expect the men to vie for those positions. So it is woman to woman. And still, the other advantage is that even if it's a woman position, the men, who are our great friends and our husbands and our brothers and our cousins, they are able to vote for us. So when we vie as women, the women will vote for us, and the men will also vote for us, the young men will also vote for us. But bottom line, the man is not vying for that position. So it gives us an upper hand, so that we are able to position ourselves in power and in positions through the electorate panel.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, talking about the woman representative position, definitely that is purely for women, and I mean there's no competition there. But the mere fact that seven women made it to the governorship, that is actually, you know, it's not a mean achievement. It's not a
mean achievement, yes, I agree.
And do you think that the political parties played a part in it, in the sense that, or is it that Kenyans are actually now embracing women leadership, or is it the parties that ensured that, you know, for these positions, especially the governors, would actually support women in it?
I would say yes, and on the other hand, I would say no about the party's initiative. Why is yes and no? Is that let me talk about Kenya Kwanzaa. It had an opportunity to just encourage the woman to vie for different positions. That's why I'm saying yes or no. Number two, the no. We have come of age whereby the woman has realized that she can be able to lead. And initially we thought that women are their own enemies. But it has come a time whereby the woman is now able to have their own confidence they have more confidence than they had before, whereby now they can be able to move out and get elected in the various positions. If you look at like county of Nakuru, they elected women. All the positions, they went to the women. And the men embraced it. They said, hey, let's try women this time round. We don't want men in any positions in Nakuru. And they went and elected from the governor to the MCs, they elected women. And so we have come to we have come to a position whereby the women have realized, yes, what men can do, they can also do it even much, much better. Number 3, the men have also agreed to support us. Not like not like before where they thought we were in competition. They have decided now we are not in competition. We are here to complement each other. We are here to complement our women. We are here to complement our daughters, our cousins who are women. And so they have also decided, hey, if we are not able to do it, let's also have our wives do it. Let's also have our sisters do it. Let's also have other people who are within the category of women to run for those positions, because the man can be there and maybe he's not born a leader or positioned himself as a leader, but in that home they have somebody who is a woman who can be able to lead and has leadership qualities. And so I really want to thank them so much, because from the last elections we have seen that the women who were elected, we have 29 single constituency, 29 of them that were elected as women, which is a bigger number than we had there in 2017. And if we now count the total of women right now in leadership, we have a total of 81. Of course, it's not a big but it's a bigger number than there before. So I want to encourage other women, the fellow women.
And just like you said, you know, a man may not be having the leadership qualities, but the woman might have, and so it's important for the men to
to support them.
To support that. And so, my question to you is, what do you think will be the impact then of more women being elected into leadership positions for the country? What impact would that have?
Culturally, we know women as a vessel that is a kind, that is nurturing. And so when we have them in leadership, we know we will not go wrong. If you look at the country of Tanzania, we have a leader, a president who is a woman. Yes. And she's doing extremely so well. And so if we look at the country of Rwanda, 60%, more than 60% of the seats of the leaders are women. And so when we advocate for women to be in power, we know that they are capable, because they have been tested and proven that they are able to lead. And so the women they are, when they are given that opportunity to lead, they will be able to do it better. Because one of the things that I know is that they want to prove to the men that what they have been thinking about them is not true. So they will perform to their very best.
But then, Pamela, what I would want to you to bring out, what are some of those qualities that you think that women have that actually they bring into leadership, that actually make leadership better? Both men and women actually have to complement each other. But what are those traits that you think, we are naturals back at home? Yes. The woman that doesn't think about herself when she wakes up. Yeah. When you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about the child, you're thinking about the man or the husband, you're thinking about the home as a whole. So what are those some of leadership qualities that you think that women would actually bring into leadership and make it a success?
Women are go-getters. Majority of them are go-getters. And when they are go-getters, they're not doing it for themselves, as you're saying. They will go there as a go-getter to venture for their children, to venture for the husband, to venture for the entire community, to venture even for the neighborhood that is around them. And so some of these qualities that we are talking about this morning about women when they are given these positions is because we know they are more capable than anybody else when we compare them with the men in leadership. A woman, if, for example, if you get out of here and you just walk out through the Hariduk Road, and you find a woman at the wrong side, at the roadside, probably crying, the first thing that will attract you as a woman is, why are you crying? What is the problem? But a man will just pass by. Hardly will they stop and they listen to this woman. the first thing they will say is that probably it's a domestic issue, wamekosana na mume wake, you know, those kind of things. But you as a woman, you'll be prompted to think, hey, maybe this lady has a major problem than we think. And she's a very woman like me. And so that kind of trait, it goes without saying for the women, when they are given the positions, they are more caring. Not that our men, and the men should not, exactly. They should not feel bad that I'm saying this about them, but the women have a kinder heart than men.
I think also women are intuitive, you know, and so that also brings...
Also patient.
Yeah, patience also. Is
very, very patient.
Exactly.
Because a man will get patient very fast, but a woman will give you another chance, a second chance. That's why even in marriages, sometimes the woman has been beaten today, tomorrow, and the day after. By the time the lady wants to pack off or packs off, she packed off long time ago. It is not the last minute that she is packing off. But so they're a bit persistent, and they're able to just take their time than the men. So I think it's the high time we embrace the women in leadership.
You know, they say that when you educate a girl, you educate the
whole society, the whole nation.
And when you educate a man, you know, you educate only one person. But that is not to say that men don't have their positions.
No,
in,
they have.
you know, because you need them actually.
We need them.
For support.
And we are not really here to discriminate their leadership.
Exactly.
We are embracing their leadership. We are only comparing. And when we are doing this, we are empowering our women. We are empowering girls. We are trying to mentor the women so that they don't feel that their comfort zone is in the kitchen. They can wake up and be in leadership, and they can try small. From just being a board member, probably being in the school, in churches. By the time now they now graduate from being a church elder to now into politics, they will have gained a lot of confidence in themselves.
You know, you mentioned about Tanzania. You mentioned about neighbors having made quite some big steps in terms of women in leadership, in terms of numbers and all that. What do you think that, if at all you have any knowledge of, Rwanda and Uganda have done that Kenya can borrow from in terms of, you know, bringing more women into our, you know, especially national leadership? Yeah.
You see what Rwanda did after the genocide, the people, the remnants, more than 60% that survived were women.
Okay.
So when President Kagame came into power, he was able to bring in policies whereby a certain percentage, 30% of the seats were supposed to be for women. So it created an opportunity for women to be in leadership. The year that followed, I think in 2003, during the elections, in the country of Rwanda, they were able to have 48% women in positions, elected. As we're talking now, Rwanda is over 50% in terms of women in leadership. So it was a transition from the genocide, the remnants, and now the constitution, and then the president of Rwanda was able to put his foot down through a constitution that, hey, 30% women, so that they are in leadership, and then through the nominations, and then as we are talking now, as I have said, they command more than 50%. Number two, in Rwanda, there is no discrimination of women. You can vie for any position, and if you talk ill about women, you can be in for it. They are that strict. Okay. They are very, very, very strict. There is no feminism in Rwanda. So when we look at that scenario, and then now when you compare with, for example, with Uganda, yes, they have made some strides a bit, but not like Rwanda, because Uganda, what they did, they increased districts to accommodate women. For example, if what Kenya did, they decided 47 women in 47 counties. Those seats are for women. But for Uganda, what they did, they increased the districts to 112, so that only 112 women would vie for those positions, and no man would vie for those positions. So those districts were created specifically for women.
So other than the fact that we have 47 women, I mean, it's a clear cut. They can go into, you know, leadership. What are other measures you think the current government, the transgender rule is still a very controversial matter, even in Parliament.
Sure.
What should be done, you know?
the first thing that we need to say is that we need to thank the current president. When he was explaining about his manifesto, he talked so much about women. And as we are talking now, we know we have made some strides about, we have at least a third of women who have been elected. What I'm suggesting, and I'm just proposing to the current government moving forward, because Rome was not built in a day, so that we don't start blaming the current president for not having attained the two-thirds gender rule, is that over and above the 47 women representatives in the 47 counties, the government, through the president, can be able to initiate, like the way Uganda did, creating some districts specifically for women, so that we can also have more, other than the 47, we can create maybe some other extra districts for women positions only. Number two, about nominations for women. When it comes to leadership, of course, we know that we have been having some nominations for women, but also we need to think through how many do we want, what is the bar line, what is the margin for the women to be nominated in various departments, in various positions in government, whether it is the CSs or the PSs, so that there is a clear cut that this line is purely for women, and this one is for both.
You know, we'll be coming to the issue of the CSs and PSs, and there's the issue of nomination of people, can I say, with special needs, like the disabled. And there's been a lot of complaint, especially from the people living with disability. I don't know what your take is, because we've had them complaining about their slots being taken by other people. I don't know what your take is on that.
It's quite unfortunate if it's true that some of those slots were taken by other people, and moving forward, probably I would urge the president to be really on the lookout, so that it doesn't happen. If it has happened, it should not happen again, so that what has been designated to the PWDs, they should have their rightful share as PWDs, because these are the voiceless in the society. These are the people with special needs. These are the people who are not able to do so much for themselves. And so if probably it has happened, I'm not saying it has, if it has happened, then the government should be able to resolve that in the near future, so that we don't have those kind of things, because these are people, they are our brothers and our sisters, and they need to feel that they have been represented. Number two, other than the government also taking the position of ensuring that the nominations of the PWDs in various positions have not been taken by other people who are able, and also urge my PWDs people, my friends. I know I do a lot of advocacy for them. And in fact, I said if I have one thing that I need to do while I'm in Parliament for the next 5 years, is to move a bill, to move a motion for the PWD's issues, because they are in the society and they have been neglected as much as we are talking, not even at the county levels, even where we have other institutions. You go at their washrooms, there is nothing designated for them. Parkings, they don't have, they struggle like any other person. And so that's off the cuff. But I would also urge them, they should also not wait to be on the comfort zone, whereby they always be waiting to be nominated. Because they can as well vie for these positions without waiting to be nominated, because probably there are many who feel that they have the leadership qualities, and we know the list of nominations probably for PWDs may not be so big, but when they present themselves in the ballot through nominations or through the ballot, they will be able to compete with their counterparts, and probably they can even get some more votes than anybody else. You know,
the challenges of just getting a nomination in a party. You know, I mean, able-bodied people already have those challenges. I'm sure people living with disability have special challenges. And now, even being as a woman, you know, some of the challenges, I'm sure you can mention a few that you went through, even just to get to, I mean, obviously you vied for the seat, which is specifically for women, but there are very many other women.
We were 13.
Exactly. But those are some of the challenges that they go through. So how can women, especially living with disability, be supported in terms of getting into leadership, whether nominated or elected?
We have dealt with the nominations that the government needs to reconsider that, so that at least it is put on pen and paper that, hey, during nominations, it is categorically clear that we shall have 10, 11, or whichever number of women with disabilities or people with disabilities occupy various positions. Number two, if they have to really now go and vie for these positions by themselves, the government should be able to initiate a way in which they'll be able to do that. For example, I remember when you look at athletics, when maybe somebody like is running, there's somebody who runs ahead of him, so that at the end of the day, he wins or she wins. So we can have some mechanisms whereby this woman or this man with disabilities, and he wants to vie the normal way without waiting for the nominations. What can we do? How can he be aided? So that there's somebody, for example, Double N is vying, but is the one vying on behalf of this person, the woman with disabilities. But at the end of the day, it is not me, I'm just the guide to this woman or to this man, so that by the time we finish, it is not my win, it is the win of this person with PWD. So that, because they will not be able to run helter-skelter, moving from one constituency to another, from one ward to another. I am telling you, they may not be able to do that. But as I'm saying, the government should be able to relax rules of the game, so that at least they feel that
they're included in leadership. And you talked about cabinet secretaries and PSs. I mean, the government is still constituting its cabinet. What are your expectations now, especially when it comes to women in leadership? What are expectations of the Kenya Kwanzaa government in terms of women in leadership?
At least from the list that was released, that is going through vetting from yesterday, we are expecting 1/3 at least for women. And that does not mean that we have already achieved the 2/3, because we haven't. And I remember President Ruto had in his manifesto said that he would have 50-50 for women in cabinet. And so already we have not achieved the 50% in terms of the gender. We have 1/3. And so because he had promised 50%, 50-50, we are expecting, if not in cabinet, either through the CSs or through the PS, then in other positions like ambassadors and other representations in government, he should consider having the women fill up those positions, so that at least, even if you don't get the 2/3, the 50% in the cabinet positions, then in other big positions like the ambassadors and what have you, we can have more representation.
And talking about the CSs and the PSs, being nominated right now on our screens, we can see that the vetting process is the second day of the vetting of the CSs going on right now.
Yes.
So that is also something that we should expect this morning. 5 actually nominees being vetted today.
Yes.
Kindiki Kithure being one of them to be vetted today. So we'll be bringing you live coverage of that in just a short while. And as we continue, Pamela N., you advocate for women leadership. I don't know, what plans do you have for women in your county?
Thank you very much. I have a plan. And the first plan is to have the groups, the women groups, chamas. Because through the affirmative action, we are able to have some grants that we'll give to the women groups, including the widows, including even the PWDs, including the youth. So through the affirmative action fund, the GAF fund, we'll be able to facilitate some money for various groups, even through table bankings. Number two, I am looking forward to having some mentorship for young ladies, for young women and girls in leadership, so that even as they grow up, they will be able to grow up as leaders. And also we wish to advocate for the 2/3 gender rule through various platforms that I will be involved at a county level and even at national level, so that even as we move forward looking for the 2/3 gender rule, even at the grassroots level, we will be able to do that. And even for PWDs, in various committees, like in my GAF committee in Embu, we already have a representative that is a PWD. And in various constituency committees, every sub-county will have a representative of a PWD in the 4 sub-counties. So you start by yourself, so that you lead by example, so that even when you talk to the others, we talk to the other leaders, they will definitely know you have started and you have begun as an example, as a leader. Then also encourage more women to vie for positions. And I'm going to be the advocate for the women. If I look at you and I know you have the potential, let me mentor you. Because when I mentor you does not mean you are coming to take up my position. I'm mentoring you so that we can have more women in leadership, more women in power, more women in positions. So that today, tomorrow when double N is not there, then other double Ns will have been born and been mentored by a double N, and they'll become good leaders in Embu, good leaders in Kenya, good leaders in the society.
Yeah. And you know, talking about mentorship, I personally feel like mentorship in schools is very, very important. Not only primary, but especially high school, where now, you know, the girls are coming out, you know, to pursue different, you know, professions and all that. But there is more to life, if I may put it, than academics.
Yes, yes.
I don't know whether that is something that you're actually considering, especially in schools. Yeah.
I've already started making some programs where I can be moving from one school to another to do some mentorship programs, especially to the girl child. That does not mean that the boy child will be left behind. We know how to deal with the boy child also, but for ladies, especially in high school, we start mentoring when they are young, so that even as they move out from 1 to 2 to translate to 3 and 4, they will be able now to know what is their position, what can they do as a woman or as a leader, as a young girl. What can they do? What positions can they have from their school background to where they are going, so that some of us, we started leadership when they were small. I was a prefect in primary from class 3 through class 7. Then I was in secondary school, and the girls, I was a prefect from 1, from 2, from 3, from 4 I was a dom captain. So you start leadership slowly by slowly. So by the time you find yourself in politics, it is not that you didn't want to into politics, but people look at the potential you have, and they start now eyeing you and telling you, hey, it's the high time you become our leader. Because like me, that is what happened, if I can tell you in a nutshell. Me, I was not going for political or any political position, but the work that I have done for the Embu community, the lives that I have touched in the Embu community, the period that I've been in radio, in KBC and in our media, I have been able to touch lives until I even got a doctorate in community development. And so when time came, they are the ones who told me, hey, you've done so much for us. Now we want to elevate you from being a radio presenter. Come to the ground, we give you more leadership, because we have realized that you are able.
So we should not take it lightly, whichever positions that you are in, whether you're in primary school or high school or in college, and you've been given leadership positions. That is actually an indicator that you can actually make it big. I mean, serve Kenyans at a bigger stage and all that. You know, there's another issue here, that is the issue of ownership of property, you know, inheritance. That has been a very big challenge for very many women, especially widows, you know, when, you know, they lose their husbands. I don't know how you'd speak to that issue.
Yeah, it's an ongoing issue, but I want to point out this, that the Constitution of Kenya allows both the man and the woman to own land, to own property, and what the woman should do. And that is what the policy says. If you buy property and you're married, it should be in joint ownership, such that if the man wants to sell that property, he cannot. He must get consent from the wife of the woman and even the children. These days, even me as a wife and my husband, wherever he is, and the properties that we have, we cannot sell without involving the children. If it's a house, probably we want to just sell it out. We will inquire from, let our children know, hey, we want to sell out this property. And they will say yes or no. If they say no, it cannot move. We cannot sell. If my husband cannot agree that we sell that property, I will not sell it. Because it has to be all inclusive. That is what the law says. It must be inclusive. So the woman that is listening to me now, know it clearly that the law protects you from your husband or your in-laws from attacking or inheriting your property. You have all the rights to own your property, to own property, and your husband cannot dispose any piece of property without consulting you and without consulting the children if they are there. Yes.
And I think, Pamela, and the issue might not be that people are not aware that, you know, the law is there to protect them. You know, as a woman, you know, your husband cannot actually dispose of any property without your consent, and nobody can actually, you know, chase you out of your house.
Somebody is going through that issue, and there's a lawyer, government lawyer, who charges zero, who charges nothing to just being there for you as a complainant, as somebody who has been, whose property probably has been sold out by your colleague or your spouse. There's a lawyer, a government lawyer, who is placed there for you. In all the sub-counties, we have government lawyers, and they do those services they give those services for free. So in case you did not get to know that, and if you get stuck, just talk to me, call me. I will know where to take you. I'll know how to make follow-ups for you. And they know I don't even hide up my number. I have only one line. So I always give it out to them. If they get stuck, they just call me out, and I will show them the way so that they can get help. And so if you are there and you get stuck, in whichever way, through the legal process, or maybe probably you are being denied even to see, as a man, you are being denied by maybe your former wife or girlfriend to see your child, you know, husband visits, you know, just talk to me. I will know the doors that we will open, and you have your rights given to you so that you don't get stuck anywhere. We are in an era whereby you are not supposed to sit there at, I got stuck, how now? No, we have ways of where you can access information and where you can get justice. So if you feel that you are being disadvantaged in whichever way, just call Daboen, Mama County Mchapakazi, 0722 699 355. It's an easy number. It's the only line I have, and it is on 24/7. Don't call me now because I will not be able to pick. But if you get stuck anywhere, in whatever problem you have, just get in touch with me. I will see how to sort it out.
Yeah. Mama County has actually given her number there, so you should be able to get in touch with her in case of any hurdles that you may be facing in as far as legal you know, processes are concerned. You know, Dabelen, speaking about women in politics, more women being elected, especially as governors, for me that is exciting in itself. I mean, members of parliament, we've always had women being elected as members of parliament, though now they're more than they were before. But being elected as governors, for me, is sort of mean achievement. And so the question is, do we see ourselves, you know, is Kenya now ready to elect a woman president in the near future?
I think that is the way to go. Those are the indicators. Where we are at, my dear, these are the indicators now. Because when you have 7 of them, and there's one of the 7 is the lady or chairman of governors, you know, we are almost headed there. And we will start small, and I know at the end of the day, we are going to have a deputy president who is a woman, and later who will be the president, who is a woman. So the Dapuens who are there, and they're women. Let's not limit ourselves to just being women reps. No, to just being governors. Let's aim higher, because we have what it takes, and these men will support us because we love them and they love us. And we have the majority in terms of population. Women are the majority. You just need to be a good leader, like Sulu. See, you know, she's the president.
I mean, she's given
elected by men and women,
and I'm sure,
she's capable.
And I'm sure many Kenyans actually do admire her. You know, even men themselves. And so definitely in the future, you know, and especially one of the women became a running mate, so that in itself informed what the future could hold for us. So thank you very much,
You
Pamela.
never know, I could also be the next president or the next deputy president.
Go for it.
You know,
go for it.
So we should not limit ourselves. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Pamela N, for coming in. If you want to know what the name Pamela N means, get in touch with me on Twitter at KBC, at Mariambo, or at KBC Channel 1. So we will be ending our interview this morning right there, Women in Politics. Pamela N has actually enlightened us on what she's doing in the county in as far as women and politics, or women in leadership, is concerned. A brighter future for women, for that matter. So right now, I want to hand you over to the vetting exercise that is going on in the Parliament with the Committee on Appointments. So see you again tomorrow. Good day.